Welcome back to the vlog, everybody. Today we are finally doing massive angle mods to the Bogan 32. This is what's gonna make it from, yeah, it's driftable to it's driftable. As you can see, the current state of the front end of the 32 is it's missing the knuckles and everything.
And that's because we got these modified, shortened and cut and dropped so that this can get us a lot more angle. Previously, this pickup point was all the way out here. So this is gonna make a big difference.
So today we're gonna be showing you how you can get maximum angle out of your OEM knuckles and kind of like the OEM setup design without going to a huge angle kit like Just Engineering, Wisefab, or FDF or something like that. We're gonna show you how to do it right, and trust me, Skylines are a little bit more tricky when it comes to angle mods, especially compared to an S chassis. S chassis have a McPherson strut design. The strut comes down, the coilover comes down and connects to the top of the knuckle. But in the Skyline, the way it works is you have a double wishbone suspension set up, and the coilover or the suspension connects to this arm piece here, not the knuckle, and then that's kind of, yeah, all a part of it. So it's a little bit different. But anyways, we're gonna show you how to do it and do it right. Let's get to it. So to do what we want to do today, it's really straightforward. You need a little bit of an extended lower control arm, and you need a cut and shut knuckle. I highly recommend the reverse knuckles here in Japan. They actually do ship them worldwide. You can go to Boostar's website to get them, but they do a really good product. They're super strong and they never break. They use proper MIG welding, MIG or TIG? MIG, that's right. I always get those two mixed up, but they use MIG welding after they heat the knuckle up with a blowtorch and stuff, and I've never seen these break on their S chassis range, JZX chassis range, and their Skyline range. They just have a really good geometry and they work really, really well. So if you guys want to grab yourself any of these knuckles, you can. I'll put a link down in the description, but it's pretty much the Team Reverse knuckle. You guys don't know where the name Reverse came from. It's from Team Reverse. A few years ago, there was a huge, I don't know how to, like a revival of street drifting here in Japan before the police cracked down on it again. And Team Reverse pretty much just ruled the streets around Yokohama and Tokyo. And that kind of evolved into them developing their own knuckles and stuff like that, which is kind of really, really cool. Most of those guys don't even street anymore because the cops cracked down on it like crazy, and they all wanted to be professional drivers. So once again, highly recommend the reverse knuckles. It just has a great feeling, great geometry. They make them for S chassis, R chassis, and the JZX chassis. So make sure you hit them up if you're after some. And depending on the kit that you get for them, may come with extended lower arms as well. When it came to an extended lower arm, instead of the traditional cut and weld a piece in, I went for just the OEM extended style ones. You can get these pretty much anywhere online. There's a fair few companies that sell these. I'm pretty sure they get made in China or Taiwan. Be very careful though. Make sure you weld some supports in here because these do bend and flex a lot. So yeah, we went ahead and welded a couple plates in here just for extra strength and rigidity. We added the tie rod stopper here. This is going to be very important because this is what it's going to stop your rack from overextending and you guys getting any binding issues. So yeah, 25 mil is kind of where I recommend. You can use stock ones. In fact, on an S chassis, I recommend using stock ones and just adding a bunch of spacers because that gives you scrub radius, which makes them feel amazing. And in this, well, Skyline's offset, wheel offset and stuff just sucks. I mean, we need a bit of camber, and this is the easiest, quickest way to get camber. So we're adding 25 mil length down here, get a bit of camber, we'll add spacers, add scrub radius, and it's gonna feel great. Pro tip, if your bolts have a bunch of just like a little bit of corrosion stuff on them, doesn't hurt to just go over with a bit of Scotch-Brite. It helps a lot, and means that you can get this out a lot easier next time. One thing I forgot to mention is this little guy. We'll talk about this later when we're dealing with the tie rod ends and the power steering rack. This is really important and will give us a lot more degrees of angle adding this to our rack.
I was just about to start up the Bogan 32, but I just noticed there's something in the exhaust pipe here. What on earth is this? Oh, it's the SAMMIT and Davsky collab air freshener. Today's video is sponsored by Davsky. Guys, you know Davsky has been supporting the channel for a very long time, and we just released our new collab Sakura scented canned air fresheners. This thing smells like cherry blossoms, the Sakura trees here in Japan, and unfortunately, Sakura season is now over. You can't see the trees anywhere anymore, but you can experience the smell all year round in your car with one of these. Head to Davsky's website, davsky.com, grab yourself anything on their website, including these. I just smacked myself in the face, and don't forget to use the coupon code SAMMIT for 10% off store-wide. Thanks for sponsoring today's video, Davsky. Let's get back to it.
we got a wheel on here. I highly recommend running 17s on Skylines or S chassis in the front. Just gives you a lot more clearance and you don't have to, you know, bash your OEM tubs and stuff. You can make 18s fit, don't get me wrong, you can. It's just, it's a lot harder and you don't get as much angle out of it without bashing things. But with 17s, you can get a lot. Right now, biggest problem is we're touching the front sway bar a bit. But we're looking pretty good here, and we actually still have probably a couple more degrees left because we're actually hitting the bracket for the brake line on the top. This is what the wheel's kind of grinding on right here. So if we add a bit of wheel spacer, probably add about a 10 mil, 15 mil, maybe even just 7, just to get this wheel a little bit further out, it's gonna look great. So we went through a few things at the start of the video of what you're going to need to get good angle, which is cut and shut knuckles, extended lower arms, the rack extenders, and then I also mentioned spacers. I highly recommend GK Tech spacers just because they're hub centric and they've got a really nice system where you can buy like a 15 mil spacer that then has a bunch of these other spacers that kind of stack on top and they all are hub centric. So they all line up perfectly and you're able to pick and choose what size spacer you want. So it's really good in situations where, you know, let's say you destroy a front wheel and you want to run a different wheel that has a different offset and stuff, and you just always keep them in your car. So I have these, and as you can see, the taper and everything on them, they just clip into place and they're amazing. So I've added 20 mil of spacers and we are no longer hitting anything. That's the stopper on the lower control arm. That's a lot of angle. That's gonna be more than enough for this thing. This is gonna be great. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're hitting the stopper there. When I go full lock this side, we're hitting the sway bar, but that's fine because obviously with the Ackerman setup, this one's gonna be the dragging wheel and the other one's gonna be the leading. That's gonna have more angle. Like we'll be able to go to here with the Ackerman on the other side, and on this side, because it's a trailing wheel, it'll probably be around here. So this will always kind of scrub. And that's why we're gonna get that inner wear here and stuff like that from depending on how much caster we run and how much toe out we run. And that will also depend on our Ackerman as well. But yeah, otherwise, that's kind of it. Super simple. So we've got spacers from GK Tech. We got tie rod extenders from GK Tech. And we've got just 25 mil extended lower control arms with the reverse knuckle. The only other thing, now this is optional, right? But if you want to get as much angle as possible, then I highly recommend it. Is the GK Tech tension rod here, or the caster arm, whatever you want to call it. If you come in here, Riley, you can see that this is perfectly machined and cut out here so that you have all this extra space. The stock arm, this guy, is in about here and comes in like this far in front. So your wheel's gonna be hitting here. So you get about an extra 1.5 to 2 inches before you hit the sway bar. Now, if you wanna be real fancy, you get what's called a GK Tech high clearance sway bar, and you can get another inch out of here, which would equal probably a good another couple of degrees of angle, but we don't need it. All right, for what this is gonna be more than enough. Being able to put the tension arm in here or the caster arm to clear us out by like this much more before hitting the sway bar means we're gonna be perfect. This thing's gonna be a weapon. It's gonna be a lot of fun, regardless of what power plant's gonna be in it, because who knows how long the 20E is gonna last.
You guys know the drill. Gotta save the world, 190 at a time. We got ourselves a 330 mil on this, the one that came off my FD car before I upgraded to a 350. Now this did have a Momo wheel on it, but it's very flat concave, and we wanted a nice bit of concave on this. We got the rack and everything centered with the new spacers. This looks great. Nice little 330 here. This is gonna do really well. We might end up adding a quick release to this to bring it further out, but for now, this is good. So the next thing that we need to work on with the angle kit is actually the tie rod ends. So I actually have the rack perfectly centered right now. I have my marking up there, and how we center the rack is we're measuring from here to the end where the tie rod starts here, and you can see we've got that new little spacer slipped on there, and then over here you can see the much bigger spacer there. So we've got the rack freshly centered, but my problem is even with this wound out with still 10 millimeters of thread, which is kind of sketchy, the wheel's still pointing out. So we need some longer either tie rods or longer tie rod ends. And you can buy these over here in Japan. And you can see this is the OEM one and see how much longer this is. So this is perfect, exactly what we need. So we're gonna be using these on the car to get this thing dialed in and get the front wheels sorted out so that we've only got a little bit of toe out is all we need to make this thing handle and feel good. And then we'll start kind of figuring the rest out. And we may need to do a little bit of clearancing, use some zip ties to get the brake line out of the way and stuff like that, because on Skylines at max lock, if we have a look on this side, you can see at max lock here, it's kind of hard to, but they like to rub on the OEM location of the brake line here. See that? And best thing to do is to actually disconnect the hose from up here, run it on the top and use a zip tie off this control arm, and that kind of tucks it out of the way. So we'll probably be doing that, and that'll just stop us from having any brake issues. But yeah, otherwise, kit's looking good. I'm gonna get the tie rod sorted out, put you guys on a time lapse, and we'll go from there. Got ourselves a nice eyeball alignment. I think we're pretty dialed. We use the toe plates. We've got about 20 mil toe out, which is normally what these things feel pretty good at. Judging by my old Skyline, we should be good. But I wanted to film me changing the oil in this because I haven't changed the oil in this yet, and I just want to see if anything gross comes out. Oh, hey, nothing on the fingers. That's what we want. Looks pretty good so far, just kind of really black, which it smells pretty fuely too. Not surprised because it runs so rich with the turbo kit. Wow, you can really tell that these stock shocks are blown. The front ones here is also blown out oil everywhere. Yeah. Let this oil drain and we'll put some fresh stuff in. After putting some proper oil in this thing and running it to temperature, the oil pressure is so much better. Even when this thing's fully heated up, we are actually off the 0 line and in between the 4 and the 0. Before, when this thing was heated up, the old oil, it would just constantly sit at 0, which means it did have some kind of pressure, but nothing like it probably should have. I still get a bunch of DMs of people asking me what oil I run in my SRs and RB, and I've always pretty much run 15W50. Most of my cars are driven on the track and driven hard, and they get warmed up before we, drive them. If I'm driving them on the street during winter, it'll be 10W40 as well, just a little bit less thick. But pretty much everyone in Japan has always recommended to me 15W50. Okachan recommends that for all of his SRs, and pretty much everyone else has said the same thing about RBs, 2Js, and JZs, and everything. It's pretty much the go-to thing here. But yeah, always fully synthetic race oil, and the only car that doesn't get that is the K-Van, and that gets like 5W15 or something, or 10, or I don't know. But otherwise, this thing just got its first service and it's running and sounding so much healthier. We got a fresh K&N oil filter on there with some 15W50 oil, and it sounds awesome. I can't wait to drive this thing. Now, we do have some really exciting stuff that's arrived for it, and we've been waiting for this clutch forever, but this is the clutch that's gonna enable us to do the manual swap on the car. And we got an ORC Super Single, pretty much the same clutch that I usually run on my Chaser. You guys know we changed to a double, and that just kind of destroyed my transmission. So we're going back to a Super Single on the Chaser actually, and in a couple of days you'll see me swap it in. We've got an RB25 Nagano Tech dog gear transmission here that's going to be going in the Bogan 32. Reason for that, I could have just gone for a 71C, but I want something that is bulletproof and not going to give me any problems. I got a custom-made drive shaft from the US. This thing I think cost me 300 bucks. It's a steel one, so it's pretty cheap, and it should see us, having a good time, and I don't think we're going to have any issues with it, especially with the dog transmission. I'm pretty excited about an RB25 transmission with dog gear set. I think that's going to be sick. I also just got my new wiring harness for the car, a Link G4X for the car, tons of more parts all arrived, my 3-row aluminum radiator. What's this one? Oh, this is the exhaust for the car, Blitz intercooler, a whole bunch of parts for an oil cooler and stuff. There are so many things that have arrived for this car, and we pretty much just have to bolt everything on, go get an alignment, and this thing will be ready to rip. But there's one thing we're still waiting on. And it's probably the most important thing, which is coilovers. You guys know how this game works sometimes. You could order everything and still something may take a little bit longer than expected, especially with the state that the world welders in right now. It's kind of expected and normal. I'm not mad or anything. I just want to let you guys know that the main thing that we're holding up on is that. And they will be here soon, and I cannot wait to get this car finished. But that also means that most likely the car's not going to make it to Matsuri. At this point, I kind of just need to make the decision to put all my effort and focus on making sure that we can get the Chaser running, and that will be my main car for Matsuri, which obviously was the plan, and this was going to be the backup / the fun car for people to drive and just test it out and see how it is. But yeah, it is what it is, and you know what? It's okay. We'll just have a build series once we get back from Matsuri and all of that with the car and get it all done. We'll get the thing aligned, we'll get the thing dynoed, we'll make some good power, and I think it's gonna be sick. I cannot wait to show you guys how easy it is to get this thing switched over running a Link. It's honestly ridiculous, and I still don't know why people haven't done it. But that's pretty much where we're at with the Bogan 32. We've finished with the angle kit. Let me give you guys a whip. This is full lock, and we can still get some more out of it. That is amazing. I think that's more than enough and way more than what this thing had stock. We are probably gonna have to, I still haven't taken the wheel well plastic out. We would definitely have to take that out, and we may also need to just trim the bumper a little bit here, you know, a bit of clearance. But once we dial in the alignment and get the caster done, we'll know what we need to do. But yeah, I think this is well and truly more than enough. Oh, this is the trailing wheel. So you guys mainly wanna see this wheel. There we go, the leading wheel. Perfect. More than enough angle for what this thing's gonna need, especially for an Ebisu missile. I think it's gonna be sick. I can't wait. And that's where we're gonna end today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're excited to see what the angle kit can do on the Bogan 32. Before I go though, we are about to take the rookie year posters off the website. So if you haven't grabbed yourself one, there is still only about 10 or 20 left. So make sure you head to SAMMIT.net now and grab yourself one. They do come numbered and signed. So make sure you grab yourself while you still can. SAMMIT.net, grab yourself one of our insulated water bottles as well. And any of the other shirts or merch or things, and maybe even a mystery shirt. I think we still have some of those. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. Smash the like button, write us a comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.